Convicted killer Bryan Kohberger will be sentenced today after admitting to the murders of 4 Idaho college students.
We could hear from family of the victims today who are still demanding answers as to why the heinous crime happened.
Chanley Painter has been following this case from the very beginning, and she joins us outside of the courtroom with more. Chanley, what can you tell us about this today?
Hey, good morning, Ainsley, Brian, and Lawrence. Just moments ago, the line that had been piling up out here to get inside this courthouse just moved across the street. The rules here, no lining up overnight, camping out here all night to get a seat inside the courtroom because it's first come, first serve. So they've been across the street where we are here till just now, and they just crossed over to line up outside this courthouse to get in because in just a couple hours, we are anticipating the victim impact statements to begin once the sentencing hearing is underway inside this courthouse. Now, we aren't sure exactly how many of the victims' family members will be speaking today, but we have heard that the family of Ethan Chapin will not be in attendance today. They did support this plea agreement moving forward. But we also may hear from the surviving roommates who were also in the home those early morning hours. They could give a statement or have a statement read on their behalf as they are victims as well. And then later, possibly today, all eyes will be on the admitted mass murderer, Bryan Kohberger, who will have the opportunity to also address the court if he wants to, but likely he will not. His family members will also have an opportunity to speak on his behalf or have a statement read on their behalf for him. As you guys know, this all comes as the 30-year-old agreed to plead guilty to save his own life from a potential death penalty. He faced 4 counts of first-degree murder and felony burglary and will now serve 4 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole after admitting to the brutal stabbings of the 4 University of Idaho students in November 2022. But that agreement, it didn't require him to admit much of anything else, much to the dismay of many of the family members and even the President of the United States, President Trump, posting this on Truth Social, quote, "I hope the judge makes Kohberger, at a minimum, explain why he did these horrible murders. There are no explanations. There is no nothing." So again, we are expecting this hearing to last most or all of today, and the judge did set aside tomorrow in case it does leak into tomorrow, guys.
All right, thanks, Chanley. So this is not just Judgment Day for Bryan Kohberger. This is an opportunity for the families of the victims to finally have their voices be heard. And you're going to hear in those victim impact statements a lot about their story. We want to give you some of it. Madison Mogan, she majored in marketing. She made the dean's list every semester, and she was a longtime best friend of Kaylee Gonzalez as well, who was also one of the victims as well. She was studying to become an elementary school teacher, and she was the middle child of 5 kids. Let's go to Xana at Cornell. She's also a victim as well as her boyfriend as well. First with Xana, she majored in marketing. She loved her dogs, shoe shine, enjoyed eating EDM music, concerts with her family. Ethan Chapin is also a triplet. His twin brother actually is one of the people that found him there as well. He majored in recreation in sports tourism management. He was a triplet, as I said, and he was dating Xana as well. So again, guys, this is a big day because, you know, there is no closure that you can ever give a victim when their children has died, but they're hoping that they finally get to see Kohberger face to face and tell them how they feel about the loss of their children today.
So many questions here. You know, I want to hear from him. I want to hear, why did he do this? How did he know them? Did he know one of the girls? Had he followed her before and saw which bedroom was hers? How did he know which bedrooms to go to? Did he target all 4, or was he just after one, and one happened to be sleeping with one of the other girls in the bed and someone else saw him and that's why he went into the next bedroom? These families need these questions answered. And we don't have a list of who's going to give impact statements today, but one of the members of Madison's family told Fox that each family is capped out at 4 family members. And we did find out that Ethan Chapin's family decided not to attend.
So a couple of things. Since the sentencing is a fait accompli, and we know it's going to be life, right? We even know the facility is going to go into. Right. Do you think that could be pressure on Kohberger's family, let's say they are somewhat normal, even though they raised a murderer, to say, hey, we got what we wanted, we don't get the death penalty, you have to give these families an explanation. That's the only thing. He's not going to get any pressure from his legal team, and he does not have a conscience. But it's my only hope is, because people want to hear what happened, they want to hear his motivation, and they, of course, want to unload on him with the impact statements. But they have so many questions. Do you think there might be pressure from his family to give these families the answers to those questions?
We had Tom Kirsting on our show yesterday about a different topic. And during the commercial break, I was asking him about this case. How could someone do this to human beings? And he said, you have to be a sociopath. It's someone, and the definition of a sociopath is someone who can do something like this without having any guilt, no remorse. You can do this just cold.
And I think that's exactly what you're going to see in court today. I don't think he's going to say a word. I don't think there's going to be any statements. I don't think there's going to be any closure for the family to tell them why he decided to do this.
But he could say something if he wanted.
If he wanted to say something, he would. But that would be different.
He knows that's what they want.
Exactly.
That's how evil he is. If he doesn't, in order to do this, it's evil. To prevent the family from having more answers is a different type of evil.
One of the most outspoken members, I mean, he has really represented all the families and all of the kids throughout this entire case. Steve Gonzalez, this is what he had to say on Will Cain's show yesterday.
We all have the curiosity. We all have our limits of what we want to hear. But I know that we all want this to go away, and the easiest way for it to go away is if this person during his plea gives out information that only he would know, and then we don't have to play these conspiracy games.
The one thing that is coming out is more of the case file, and they're starting to share information with the family about what happened with the investigation and what they saw. And as many people know, it was a graphic crime scene. I don't think there would have been as much pressure if it wasn't for the president making his comments on this, Ainsley.
Look at this picture. That's Steve, and that was a picture of Steve with his daughter, Kaylee. Kaylee's the one that wants to be an elementary school teacher, or did want to. She has 4 other siblings, and he was talking in that interview with Will last night about trying to be strong and moving on, because you have to be a father to your other children.
That's right.
But this has taken up years of their lives, and they'll never be the same.
Nope.
All right, so we'll see what happens. You have all the coverage right here.
You can check out the Fox True Crime podcast, Inside the Idaho Murders. It runs for 4 weeks with a new episode dropping every Tuesday. You can download it at foxnewspodcast.com or scan the QR code on your screen right there. So Idaho college killer Bryan Kohberger is set to be sentenced to 4 consecutive life sentences today. Let's tell you about how this all wrapped up. I think it's important to know that 90% of the cases, over 90% of the cases, are settled through a plea deal. But it's this deal that's catching a lot of folks' attention. First of all, he was going to get 4 consecutive counts of first-degree murder anyway. That was always on the table, and 1 count of burglary. With this deal, they have agreed to drop the death penalty, though. So ideally, he's going to be serving life in prison with no chance of parole. All right, let's bring you to the prosecutor. Bill Thompson, somewhat of a known fixture within the community, has been in office for over 30 years. He's tried capital cases before. There was only one of them, though, that actually went through, but it was later overturned. His rationale is interesting. He didn't want the family to deal with a lengthy trial and then have to go back to court if there was some appeal process, which normally happens when there's a capital murder case. So he said it was going to be less traumatizing for the family and save taxpayer money. Let's talk about the criminal defense. The lead defense attorney is Ann Taylor. She's been doing this for over 30 years, practicing criminal law. She has tried death penalty cases before. She also did some family law as well. Her strategy was, because of the DNA, there was going to be some chance of acquittal, but it was very limited. She also thought that the evidence that the state had and all the Hail Marys that she tried to throw, since the judge rejected it, there was really no chance that it was going to be overturned. All right, let's bring you to criminal defense attorney and Fox News contributor, Donna Rotunno. Donna, you've been in this game for a long time. What do you make of this day for the victim's family? And this is their day that they finally get to make their voices heard through the victim impact statements.
Yes, good morning, Lawrence.
Good
You're
morning.
absolutely right. This is the day for the families. This is the day they get to use their voices to tell us about the pain and the suffering that these murders have caused them. We will hear about the graduations they won't attend, the weddings they will not be able to witness, dads not walking daughters down the aisle, grandchildren that will not be born. We will hear about these lives that were lost much too soon and the pain it has caused on the family that will reverberate in their lives for as long as they are on this earth.
You know, Donna, we expect Mr. Kohberger to be silent today. He's been emotionless and silent pretty much the entire time. One word answers to the court. But I found this people reporting to be particularly egregious. This is what the reporting suggests. This is a quote. The three people Kohberger planned to accuse of the murder were each socially connected to one or more of the victims, interacted with one or more of the victims at social events in the hours prior to the homicide, lived within walking distance of the crime scene, and were familiar with the layout of the victim's home from prior social events. Now, we know, Donna, that the court said you can't use this defense. So he wasn't able to do this, but the philosophy behind it seemed a little crazy that this was going to be their defense if the judge allowed it.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, to try to frame any person that they don't have any real evidence of committing crimes or no nexus to their actions and crimes. I mean, obviously, anybody on earth has contact with other people. In our world of social media, in the world of apps, in the world of Snapchat, they were college students. They probably had thousands of followers, people that knew them, people that lived close to them. This was a close-knit community of students. And so the fact that you would try to, essentially throw other people under the bus when there's no evidence to suggest that they were involved in this is definitely depraved.
Don, I have about 15 seconds. I know this is a day about the victims, but is this justice?
It's justice in the sense that there's accountability for the fact that he committed these murders. The fact that the family doesn't get to sit through a trial and hear the way this investigation went down and be able to listen to witnesses and watch them be cross-examined, I think is going to be difficult for them.
Yeah, I totally agree. Donna Rotunno, you've been out front on this case from the beginning. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lawrence. I appreciate it.